Hi friends, it's the Evolving Guys here. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for following along in our Master Set Challenge. As a reminder, if you're new to the channel, we like to collect master sets. I like to collect master sets, and I've done them different ways over the years. And so, coinciding with starting our channel, one thing we thought we would do is try a particular approach in that we bought a booster box case of Temporal Forces, so 6 booster boxes. And the goal was to open those 6 boxes and to see how close that got us to a master set. And we're looking at both what we pull out of the 216 packs. So, how many of the 218 cards in Temporal Forces can we actually pull? But then also for the cards that we pull that are duplicates or things like trainers or other things that have some value, we're going to turn around and resell those. And then that money we can put back into the master set the things that we don't pull ourselves. And so this is just a bit of an experiment. I'm curious, please leave in the comments, like, how do you collect master sets, or do you collect master sets? What strategies do you have? We'd love to hear how you do this. And this is, again, just kind of an experiment for fun, and we'll see. It's not guaranteed that we're going to get the master set this way, but I thought I would just try it in case we maybe want to do this for future sets. So where we were after 5 booster boxes, this shows our progress after each of the first 5 booster boxes. So before I reveal what we pulled in booster box number 6, which is our final booster box, and at the second half of the video, I'll talk not just about what we pull in booster box number 6 itself, but then kind of the totals for the whole experiment so far. So you can see after booster box number 1, of course, we're starting at 0 and we need every card. And so we pulled 149 of the 218 cards, even just after that first booster box. The second booster box, we added 15 more cards to get us up to 75% of a master set. In booster box number 3, we added 16 more cards to get us up to 83%. And then you can see in booster boxes 4 and 5, progress slowed a little bit. And in some ways that was expected, right? Because we have a lot of cards and we're really just trying to pull non-duplicates of the illustration rares, special illustration rares, ultra rares, and so on. So you can see we only added 6 new cards after opening booster box number 4. And then we only added another 5 new cards after opening booster box number 5. So progress is really slowing, which might be, something to make note of. I know one of our commenters noticed that maybe progress really slows and it maybe makes sense to open 3 or 4 booster boxes of a new set rather than all 6. But this is part of the experiment. We are pulling things, even if they don't go to the master set, we are pulling things out of these booster boxes that we're reselling. And that's what the number on the right indicates. So far, after 5 booster boxes, we've sold our net profits after, fees and expenses and overhead. Our net profit, like in our pocket, of things we've resold from these booster boxes is $95.09. So pretty strong. I mean, you can get a lot of cards with that, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes later in the video. So that's kind of where we stood after 5 booster boxes. If you want to break down by rarity, you can see on the left-hand side, we've actually, for several booster boxes now, we've had all the commons, uncommons, regular rares, and double rares. Where we're really trying to make progress is on the right-hand side here. And you can see after 5 booster boxes with 1 booster box remaining, we had pulled 14 of the 22 illustration rares, 11 of the 18 ultra rares, 4 of the 10 special illustration rares, only 1 of the 6 hyper rares, 6 of the 7 A-Spec cards, and we had pulled all but 2 of the reverse holo cards going into booster box number 6. So how was booster box number 6 for us? I mean, I say disaster. Of course, it's not really a disaster, but it really was not a very strong box. It was probably our worst box of the 6, save the worst for last. Maybe our best box was the first box, and so it's funny that we just, and how we randomly pulled them out of the case. I am aware that thinking about, like, if you only open 1 or 2 booster boxes, of course, there's no, even across 36 packs, there's no guarantee of what you're going to get. And I think of folks who don't have the luxury of opening 6 booster boxes of a set. And if this happened to be like this box we opened today, if this happened to be the one box that you open, you could be pretty disappointed and really not feel like you got much out of it. We've had a couple booster boxes that have been pretty strong, but and of course, there's some people who open many more, especially like storefronts and other LGSs who might open, tons and tons of cases. But if your sample size is just 1 or 2 cases or 1 or 2 booster boxes, then, a booster box like this would be pretty disappointing. So we'll take a closer look at what we got. We got 6 double rares in this. We got 2 A-Specs, including one of the ones that we were missing, the only one we were missing. We had 3 illustration rares, 2 ultra rares, but I think where this box really fell flat is we did not pull either a special illustration rare or a hyper rare. So the number of hits was a little bit low, And then also, we didn't really pull any card that had that much value. And I think just if you have a box that doesn't have a special illustration rare or a hyper rare, it really makes the box a lot less exciting. So if you want to look in terms of, for our purposes, our master set chase, we're chasing this master set. Going into booster box number 6, we needed 8 illustration rares. And the good news is, I guess, if there's some silver lining for this booster box, is that we did pull 2 of the 8 illustration rares that we were missing. And in fact, we pulled the 2 that were most valuable. Now they're not that valuable. They're both less than $10 cards, but we did pull this Cincino and we pulled the Metagross. And so we can check those off of our list, and that leaves us with 6 remaining illustration rares. And I have on here the remaining price. So the 6 that we still are missing, the total cost to just buy those 6 as singles using TCG Player market price is about $21. So not too bad when it comes to the illustration rares. We did not pull any ultra rares in this booster box that we didn't already have. So that stays the same. We needed 7 and we still need 7. I redid the prices as of the most recent prices from yesterday, and the prices actually of these 7 total has gone up just a little bit, but it's still like only $27. So it would only cost $27 to pick up these 7 cards on the secondary market. Again, where the real challenge is with any set are the more valuable cards. In this case, in the Scarlet and Violet era, that means we're talking about special illustration rares. And again, we did not pull any in this booster box, so we needed 6, and we still need 6. And the price of these 6 together has gone down just slightly since the last time I calculated, but it's still over $200 to pick up these remaining 6 cards. Again, none of them are like individually that. I think Morty's Conviction is around $60 as the most valuable remaining. But of course, all these cards have some value. I think they're all $20 or $30 or $40. And so when you add up 6 of those, that gets you over $200. It's funny that just a little quirk and maybe a fun little kind of inside joke of the channel will be that after 6 booster boxes, we still are missing 1 reverse holo, and it's Salvatore. So Salvatore has been, for whatever reason, Salvatore is our elusive reverse holo. So we'll continue to look for that. Hopefully we'll pull it in a future pack someday, or just find it on the secondary market again. It's probably only costs like 10 or 15 cents to buy. But for whatever reason, Salvatore is the one reverse holo that we failed to pull. So I wanted to take a minute now that we've talked about what we pulled in booster box 6 and zoom out to the whole challenge. What did we pull across all 6 booster boxes? And this isn't the end of the challenge. I mean, it's the end of our booster box case today. We'll talk about what we pulled in the 6, and I'll talk at the end of the video about what we have in mind going forward as far as our master set challenge with Temporal Forces. Whoops. But first of all, you can see here are the totals. So after 6 booster boxes, after opening a booster box case, this is where we ended up. So again, we've had the commons, uncommons, regular rares, and double rares since earlier on. We added 2 more illustration rares in this last booster box. So we ended up, after 6 booster boxes, we pulled 16 of the 22 illustration rares. So almost 3/4, which is, again, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section about, do you think this seems good or not? Like after 6 booster boxes, we're still 24 cards short of a master set. We knew we wouldn't get all the way there, but I don't know, in your mind, in your eyes, do you feel like this seems like progress? Was this positive? Was this worth it? The ultra rares, we pulled 11 of the 18, so 61% remaining. Again, special illustration rares, there were 4 of our booster boxes had 1, none of them had 2, and 2 of them had 0. So we ended up with 4 of the 10 special illustration rares, so only 40% of the way there. And again, kind of a quirk. It could just be a quirk of our particular case, but we only pulled, out of 216 packs, we only pulled 1 hyper rare card. The cards themselves aren't that valuable. There's none more than $20, I think, but just the way it worked. And I don't know if this is typical of what other people are experiencing, but those were definitely the hardest cards to pull, even harder than special illustration rares. We did pull all the 7 A specs. We got the last one we needed in this last booster box. All the booster boxes had 2, except for one that had 1, but they weren't. You could count on that, and so we ended up getting all of those. And again, I already talked about, we pulled all but 1 of the reverse holos, and Salvatore is our 1 remaining. So altogether, just in the 216 cards in the main set, or 218 is it? Just in that portion of the challenge, we were 24 cards short. If you add the one reverse hollow that we're missing, then it's 25 cards. So we're missing 25 cards after our 6 booster boxes, which again, I don't know if that feels good or not. You can tell us in the comments. One other way I wanted to break this down is in this chart. I know there's a lot of numbers here, but if you'll give me a second to walk through it, you can see across the top is the box number. So box 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then down the side are the different things I was tracking. So the number of overall hits in the box, the number of double rares, illustration rares, ultra rares, special illustration rares, hyper rares, and A-spec cards. So you can see if you go across the hits row, you can see the number of hits, for example. So we had 15 hits in the first box, 16 in the second box, 13 in box 3, 13 in box 4, 15 in box 5, and 13 in box 6. So the mean, that's another word for average. That's the average. And I'm just rounding to the nearest whole number. I know like Danny Phantom, when he does his calculations, he does the decimals. And I think that's helpful and it's probably more accurate. But of course, you're not going to pull half of a hit or half of an illustration rare, for example. And so I just round. And again, this is only 6 booster boxes. So this is not meant to be representative. We know that we would need lots more openings to get more accurate numbers. But just for the 6 booster boxes that we opened, our average number of hits in a box was 14. And then if you remember your high school math class, mode just means the number that occurs most often. And so that's maybe, I think, almost a better way to think about what you might expect when you open a box. So the most common is 13. 3 of the boxes had 13 hits, 2 boxes had 15 hits, and 1 box had 16 hits. But when we think about, you can think about in terms of average, it would be 14. But in terms of the mode or the most common, you would actually probably expect 13 hits per booster box. So we did that with each of these categories. You can see the double rare is very consistent, 6 double rares in 5 of the 6 boxes. Box number 2 had an extra double rare as number 7. But you can see that, basically we were getting 6 double rares. And so, of course, when you think you're getting around 13 hits per booster box, but really half of those are double rares, which are the least valuable. And so that does kind of cut into your margins. You're really hoping with those other cards that you get some good stuff in there. You can see illustration rares, it varied between 2 and 4, but the most common was 3. So I think, again, if you look at that final column on the right-hand side, the mode column, I think that's the best column to get a sense of what you should expect. So expect 3 illustration rares per booster box. Ultra rares, either 3 or 2. Again, the most common was 2, and so I would say expect 3 illustration rares, 2 ultra rares. The special illustration rares, again, you saw we pulled in 4 of the boxes had them, 2 boxes didn't. So we know that you're not guaranteed a special illustration rare in a booster box, but we were more likely than not. Like 4 of the 6 had them, and so I think in general you're kind of hoping for one. You're hoping you don't get one of those boxes that skunks you on the special illustration rares, but in general, I think it's fair to kind of assume that you're going to get one. Hyper rares is the challenging one. I mean, clearly you can't expect that because we only pulled one across 6 booster boxes. So I think your expectation is, of course, there are hyper rares to pull, but they're really hard to pull and it's really unlikely to find one. So if you do find one that's exciting, I mean, it's less exciting because the cards themselves aren't that valuable. But if you pull a hyper rare, even just in a loose pack, you can know that at least from our numbers that that's really hard to do. And then A-spec's also pretty consistent. All the boxes had 2 except for 1 box had 1. And so I think it seems like you can expect 2 A-specs. So I think that last column, again, just to highlight, is a good one to look at. I think from our experience, you should expect 13 hits. 6 of them will be double rares, 3 illustration rares, 2 ultra rares. Fingers crossed that you get 1 illustration rare or 1 hyper rare, and then 2 A-spec cards. So hopefully that's helpful. That's our experience here. One other thing I wanted to talk about with our experience is here are the 8 most valuable cards by price in the set. And we were lucky. We pulled the first most valuable, the third most valuable, the fifth and sixth most valuable, and we pulled 2 copies of Prime Catcher, which is the 8th most valuable. So if you look at it this way, I think we did a good job. We're missing 3 of the 8 most valuable cards. I mean, of course, it's always nice to pull more of those, but one of my problems with past master set collecting is it's pretty easy to get so many of the cards, but it's those handful of chase cards that are really hard to pull and they're really expensive to buy that really kind of hang me up. And a lot of times I'll have most of a master set, except I'm missing sometimes even just one or two cards, but they're usually those most valuable cards. And I'm always torn about whether I should buy them or whether I should just keep holding out hope that I'm going to pull them someday. And so this one nice thing about this experiment is because we opened such a high volume of packs, and maybe we just also got a little bit lucky, is that we pulled a lot of the valuable cards in this set. So when it comes to actually turning around and buying what we didn't pull, again, we've pulled 5 of the 8 most valuable cards from our booster boxes. And so there's just fewer expensive cards that we would have to purchase if we wanted to go that route. And speaking of purchasing cards, again, this is an update on what we're making. So remember, before booster box number 5, we had made $95. That is up to $135. So our eBay sales were almost about $100 of gross sales. Our net is about $62 from that. We sell, again, packs locally. Our gross is about $100, and our net is a little bit better there. It's about $73. So if you add the $62.71 and the $73, our total yield after fees, like money in our pocket that we can spend, is $135 out of a gross sales, of about $200. And so that $135, the question is, what do we do with this? And again, this is where I would love the community's thoughts on this. And so you can see here, by rarity, it would be $21 to buy the 6 remaining illustration rares we need. It would be about $27 to buy the remaining ultra rares. The big bucket, the big cost is it'd be over $200 to buy the remaining 6 special illustration rares, and it'd be about $65 to buy the remaining hyper rares. So I'm curious, with $135, and we still have stuff listed, not everything is sold, and we're going to continue to sell items hopefully out of what we've pulled. So this 135, I'm fingers crossed it's going to go up more. But I'm curious what you would do if you had $135. How would you approach these remaining cards? I mean, the two main things in my mind is you could, that's not enough to get you, a little more than half of the special illustration rares. And so you could work your way down from the top and start with Morty's Conviction, which is the most valuable card that we haven't pulled. And you could try to work from the top down to get those valuable and expensive cards off the list, knowing that those are the hardest ones to pull. Those are the ones that are, probably only going to go up in price over time. And so if you can nab them now, that might be a wiser strategy. The other strategy, and maybe, this is more kind of satisfying, is that you can see that with $135, we could basically buy all the rest of the illustration rares, all the rest of the ultra rares, and all the rest of the hyper rares. That works out to be actually a little bit less, I think, than 135. And so we could basically buy everything else but the 6 special illustration rares with that money. And so that would get us much, much closer to the master set, but it would still leave those hard cards to pull as the ones we're missing. And so I'm curious what you think we should do with our 135. So here's where we ended up after 6 booster boxes. Is you can see, as we already talked about, we pulled 194 of the 218 cards, leaving us with 24 cards that are remaining that we need. The total value of everything we pulled, which is the 194 cards plus all the reverse hollows are factored into this, is $421.88. And then if you factor in the $135.71 that we've made from selling things, our I would say our yield from this booster box is $557.59, which is basically a little bit less than we paid for it. We actually paid less than that for the booster box, but then when you added in taxes, I think we paid $540 for the booster box. You add taxes, the shipping was free, thankfully, but taxes really got us. And, it's basically a little bit, I think $590 is what we actually paid. But you can see that our yield between the master set and what we've made back is pretty close to that. So in some ways, I feel pretty good about that. Even though we're not that close to a master set, the $135 we can invest back into it. And so I don't know. In this respect, even though we still don't have our master set, I feel like as far as an investment, we basically got our money back in what we pulled and what we were able to sell. So let me know what you think in the comments. You can see overall, if you add in the reverse hollows, which is 140, we pulled 333 of the 358 cards that we're seeking to get a complete Temporal Forces master set. So 93%. So pretty good. We still have a ways to go. We still have some money to burn. So that leads us to my very last slide. So the thing I'm planning to do is we have opened our booster box case, but I want to still continue to work towards this master set. And one way I might do that is a build and battle display. So those are things I like to collect the the cards that come in those, the monogram cards that have the set symbol on them, those promo cards. I like to collect the sealed packs of those that come in the build and battle displays. And so I have one on order. It has had some problems arriving, and so it is actually not here yet. So my fingers are crossed that our Temporal Forces build and battle display that we have ordered will arrive in enough time to be able to open and post some videos soon. And that's 40 packs. Each battle build and battle box has 4 packs, and so 4 times 10 is 40 more packs. So it's basically the equivalent of a little more than one more booster box. So part of it is to open one more 40 more packs to see if we can pull anything else that we need. It's also going to get me the promos that I like. And then we'll also see if our 135.71 goes up anymore. So I am on the hunt now, starting to go out to our local card shops and do a little bit of card hunting. And so stay tuned. I'll do an update video next week to talk about what progress we've made, even though we've opened all the booster boxes. My hope is in future videos, we'll talk about what we pulled in the build and battle display. And also we'll update you on the cards that we're purchasing with our $135 that we've earned. And I'll show you how we'll show you the master set soon. So I'm excited for that video next week, where maybe we'll get to show you kind of the fun, and we'll wrap up this master set challenge, because it's going to be time soon to switch to Twilight Masquerade. And I have a different idea of how we might try to do a Twilight Masquerade master set. So we'll get to that soon. So anyway, thanks for following along. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. If you can do that, that would be great. It really helps other people find the channel. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your collections, and we will talk to you soon.